Welcome back to another episode of One Wingspan Above, where we discuss anything to do with Ground Effect. We'll cover some updates from Regent and from RCTestflight. Then we'll introduce this channel's first build project. "2024 has been and gone. A quarter-scale Seaglider prototype has flown, and a mock-up of the full-scale craft has been built and shown. According to the planning, Regent should now have flown its full-scale craft for the first time by now. It seems though that they're getting close. Regent CEO Billy Thalhammer did an interview on a Dubai radio station where he mentioned that the first 12-seater model, the Viceroy, will be flying in the next few months. He mentioned it would fly by the summer of North America. He also mentioned that the vehicle will have humans on board. His timeline for UAE is that operations would start early 2027. I would assume that the countries like New Zealand that have ordered early will be operating their Seagliders earlier than that. It's interesting though that he mentioned that Regent has made a partnership with the local Abu Dhabi investment office to start manufacturing of Seagliders in UAE next to the manufacturing in the US. Their website states that Rhode Island manufacturing plant will come online in 2026, which seems quite late considering that operations in the UAE will be starting in early 2027, where presumably other countries will get their Seagliders before this. In the College Times, Billy said the product vehicle will be delivered late 2026 or early 2027. If this all seems to be happening quite quickly, this is due to the fact that the Seaglider would technically be classified as boats. If they were classified as aircraft, the road to actual production and delivery to customers would be a lot longer. We'll keep you up to date. Daniel from RCTestflight has built another RC model of the Caspian Sea Monster. A beautiful looking model it is, with integrated ducted fans for power augmented ram to start with, and he replaced them with normal fans as the ducted fans didn't produce enough thrust. Interestingly enough, he didn't integrate a cruise engine on the tail like the real Caspian Sea Monster had. The model flew in the end, but not without the age-old dilemma of how to get the craft out of the water easily. The power engines helped, but Daniel discovered that his hull was far from ideal. When he added proper steps to the hull came out of the water a lot easier. The most interesting thing about his model though are the wingtips. Daniel hinted he's going to use the plane to test some fancy surface drive propulsion methods, referring to his earlier designs when he's using a pedal boat wheel as propulsion. Perhaps he'll apply this to his acronoplan, but only on the wingtips. This brings me to the next segment. The Regent Seaglider is not quite a true skim machine. It is an airplane that happens to be flying low. It can easily fly higher and is not bound to ground effect. Of all the existing skim machines, there are only a few true ground effect machines. The Jurg flare boat is one of them. True ground effect machines are unable to escape ground effect. The whole reason why we have ground effect boats is because we want to make boats go faster. But hull friction and wave drag of the boat in the water are limiting the maximum speed dramatically. The theoretical maximum speed of a boat in displacement mode, which is floating in essence, is 2.48 times the square root of the waterline length. So a boat of 5 meters long would only be able to go up to 5.5 meters per second, or about 19.8 kilometers per hour. The longer your boat, the faster you can go. To go faster than this, you will need to get the hull out of the water and get it planing, or riding on top of the waves. Then you can go roughly 7 times as fast. Planing is the mode of operation for a waterborne craft in which its weight is predominantly supported by hydrodynamic lift, rather than hydrostatic lift or buoyancy. In plain words, the boat doesn't float anymore, but is lifting out of the water because of the movement of the boat over the water. The current unlimited speed record of a boat is 511 kilometers per hour, still standing since 1978. Compare that with the current land speed record, which is more than twice at 1228 kilometers per hour. To get to planing though, you have to overcome hump drag, where hydrodynamic drag is at its maximum. This costs energy and you'll need power. As an answer to this, hydrofoils were invented. They bypass hump drag by lifting the boat out of the water. This is the approach that Regent took. The first evidence of a hydrofoil on a vessel appears on a British patent granted in 1869 to Emmanuel Denis Farquhar. Even Alexander Graham Bell was playing around with hydrofoils to make boats go faster. Hydrofoil boats are boats that have wings underwater. Modern sail yachts and even surfboards have hydrofoils attached to them sometimes. One of the most successful Soviet designer inventors in the hydrofoil area was Rostislav Alexiev. But even hydrofoils have a theoretical speed limit because of cavitation. This is where the low pressure that the hydrofoil generates makes the water boil, which causes bubbles to form, which increases drag and decreases lift. Enter the ground effect boats. Rostislav Alexiev was largely responsible for the development of these machines. Since his background was in boat building, he reasoned that fitting an airplane wings on the boat could lift them out of water completely, and thus reducing friction and drag dramatically. Unfortunately, on the flip side of these ground effect powered boats, it takes a lot of power to get free from the water. Power that is not needed when flying above the water, but just for that first initial push. This power and the resulting shape of the craft generally means that they are overpowered and can escape ground effect. Ideally, you want to have a boat that easily gets out of water that has just enough power to keep the boat aloft. So how could we solve this? When you look at the hull of the Regent Seagliders completely smooth, this would be a very bad hull design when the Seaglider wants to break free from the water to fly in ground effect. Generally, a seaplane hull that has been designed to break free quickly has steps integrated where air gets introduced to the water. The trick that the Seaglider uses is that it has hydrofoils pushing the hull out of the water. Alexiev did experiment with skis on his echinoplanes, which are a variant of hydrofoils. But let's go back to first principles. The task is to design a skim machine that can only sustain flight in ground effect. This can be over any flat surface. Mostly this means taking off from the water as there's more open space over water. Now here's the tricky bit. Water is denser than air. We want to be in the air, but need to take off from the water first. This creates a problem of water drag and friction on the hull. The drag in the water is much bigger than in the air. There's only drag because the skin of the craft gets dragged through the substance that is called water. Well, what if the craft's surface is not actually dragging through the water? But what if the surface of that boat goes backwards as fast as the boat goes forwards? Think of a wheel on a car, which reduces the friction of a car on the road. If you had a car without wheels, it would be dragging over the road and not going anywhere fast. That is why wheels were invented. Where wheels touch a road, it goes backwards as fast as the car is going forwards, reducing friction. But since water is going around objects, just having wheels, which are point contacts, is not sufficient. We really need long wheels that span the entire length of the hull. Do you see where I'm going with this? Enter snowmobiles. Did you know that it can drive a snowmobile over water? As long as you drive a snowmobile fast enough, it doesn't sink into the water. The snowmobile tracks are generating both lift and propulsion. The tracks go around so fast there's no positive friction with the water, only a negative one, which is then called propulsion. The snowmobile track is essentially a really long wheel. If we fit that onto the bottom of our skim machine, we decrease our drag with the water, and at the same time we have a propulsion that uses water as a medium rather than air. Air propellers are normally used on skim machines, but if we use water propulsion, it is more effective. There are a few drawbacks to this, obviously. Snowmobile tracks are typically heavy, and adding them to a ground effect boat would increase weight, potentially affecting its performance and efficiency. However, since the units work in the water medium rather than in the air medium, the transfer of power should be more efficient, making the power unit more compact. Snowmobile tracks require regular maintenance and replacements, especially when used in harsh marine environments. This could add to the operational cost and complexity of the boat. Integrating snowmobile tracks into the design of a ground effect boat would require careful engineering to ensure proper functionality and efficiency. The designer would need to account for factors such as track size, placement, and compatibility with the boat's overall design. But now for the kicker. Once a skim machine gets up to speed and it uses the ground effect, it lifts that propulsion unit, the tracks, out of the water automatically, thus eliminating any propulsion. The craft cannot be propelled if it's away from the water surface. Since the ground effect is so efficient, the craft will soar above the water until it slows down enough for the propulsion unit to come into contact again with the water, increasing the speed again. This motion is very much like this flying fish that uses its tail to propel itself out of the water and glides, sails down onto the water and does it all over again. It would make the skim machines capable of lifting off any surface, even ground that is solid, but being only dependent on ground effect, unable to fly out of it. Would this work? I do believe so. In any case, it will be an awesome experience to fly one of these. So let's try building one right here. We'll keep you updated on our process and stay tuned. For now, thank you for watching. Keep in the loop by hitting the subscribe button, and we'll see you here for the next episode of One Wingspan Above. Keep on skimming.